As Jasmine in the deep late of the night as she's trying to get some rest in the Pokemon Center and notice Misty isn't in her bed as she normally would be. As Jasmine is kinda worried about where Misty could have been as she went to the Pokemon Center but finding out that she is actually outside practicing with her Pokemon, and Jasmine knows that Misty normally would train pretty hard, but this seems to be a bit more intense looking through the training session as Misty seems to notice Jasmine, and Jasmine is wondering what is making Misty so pumped as Misty reveals that she found Tucker around in the latest people around, and apparently the last gym leader we're going to face is simply a water gym, meaning that she's going to battle a water master, and Misty isn't taking this too lightly as she's going to use everything she has learned in her journey, and she will use all of her Pokemons on this one, and feeling a bit kind of feeling left out as Jasmine just simply smirks as she describes that it doesn't matter how hard Misty tries if she can't even let her mind rest easy, if she can't even get if her mind keeps drifting off to sleep, as Misty kinda agrees with Jasmine's point and promises that she won't train too much, just about 10 more minutes. And later in the next day as Jasmine can clearly see Misty barely had some sleep, but Misty doesn't seem to mind because she had enough 3 hours top most. But clearly, it may or may not affect her battle tomorrow. Today, as they're going to find out as they arrive at the gym and noticing one particular trainer has been waiting for the next challenge. It simply is one as Misty introduced herself as one as Jasmine even pointed out that one is a trainer that has been taught by the champion of her one league, meaning Wallace, as Misty swallows a bit, noticing this might be a tough battle, and Juan simply patiently waits for Misty to step up, and Misty, not shaking a bit, falters a bit, but quickly gets her confidence back as she stands the opposite side of Juan as the referee begins the battle. As Misty faces Juan gets underway as the first part of the battlefield as they both agree that it's going to be a 2-1 to enter two of their side Pokemon and out and return to a more single battle as Misty is much more curious on what does a water gym leader look like to her, and one doesn't disappoint as he just sends out Hunter and Mora Corbett to battle as the two fish Pokemon land in the deep in the water field as Misty is quite surprised by two new water Pokemon that she has never seen before, but she is quite confident as her ability as a water trainer as Misty deciding to send out two Pokemon that seemingly work very well together by sending out Pelipper and Nulicolo, and once Pelipper has entered in the battlefield has activated its Drizzle ability as Misty is grinning itself but quickly thinks to herself that it doesn't really benefit both me or the point because all our Pokemon would be water, so it wouldn't hurt, but that's not what Misty is trying to focus. It's reliant on her Lulicolo's ability that it recently discovered, and once one discovers it by commanding its hunter with a powerful crunch to Lunacolo, as surprisingly as the Lunacolo Pokemon, even though it is morally focusing on damage, it managed to swiftly move their way, as one could notice the species' ability Swift. Its speed is double during the rain, and one is quite impressed, but unfortunately, this is where Misty meets a true water master, as one isn't even relying on the rain condition and purely uses his Pokemon skills as using Hunter's ability to hunt down its predator like Pelipper, which managed to dodge most of the physical damage from Crunch. But unfortunately, as Misty has to split her focus with Ludicolo and Pelipper, leaving until to manage to grab Pelipper, and right now is having a wrestling match within the water, and Misty desperately tries to get Ludicolo to help Pelipper with a power Giga Drain, but unexpectedly Gorbis has seemingly using its tail to grab Ludicolo deep in the ocean. Even though Ludicolo is spot water, it's more suitable for land because it doesn't have any good while swimming fast in the water, leaving Mrs. both Pokemon to be a disadvantage as one is using his Pokemon to their advantage by purely being a depths in the waters. As Gorbis launches a powerful draining, he is absorbing great help from Ludicolo, but luckily Messi managed to get Ludicolo to get out of its grip by using a powerful Giga Drain, and it's simply a super effective move to the point where Gorbis has to think twice before even getting close to Ludicolo, and allowing Ludicolo to get Pelipper free that Hunter has been trying to defeat as Ludicolo managed to launch a powerful water force, getting Hunters to back off, leaving Pelipper to be free as Misty realizing that she can't use her well that day because it's pretty much a telltale sign to one who could easily predict Misty's ability in the battlefield, knowing what her Pokemon is capable of because he knows water Pokemon better than Misty, leaving Misty to be a more crazy approach. As Misty has or do her combo move between her two Pokemon, calling Pelipper to use a powerful hurricane, and not towards the Pokemon themselves but towards the water itself, as it's becoming a tsunami within the ocean, as Gorbis and Hunter couldn't avoid but get sunk into the hurricane. And this is where Misty will return Ludicolo, knowing that Ludicolo wouldn't have an advantage in the water, and sending out Lantern, as Misty managed to call out for Lantern to strike the hurricane with a powerful thunder, and with that powerful combination to the point where Hunter is severely damaged and even Gorbis couldn't even handle the damage, as Gorbis is simply knocked out from the move entirely. As Warren is quite surprised by Misty tactics as he returns to Gorbis, knowing he still have Hunters in the battle, sending out his more rare Pokemon, aiming to counter Pelipper by sending out Relican to battle. And once Misty looks upon this Pokemon, as she could notice this Pokemon doesn't seem to be quite fast, and that's what she's going to do by commanding Pelipper to use a power for Hurricane, but unfortunately the Hurricane seems to be very ineffective with Relican. In fact, it managed to push through as one command for a powerful head smash, as the Relican just uses its thick skull to smash Pelipper. Not only that, it seemed a super effective move which managed to knock out Pelipper, to Misty other surprise as she didn't expect that to be super effective and has no anticipation to recall back Pelipper. And Misty should have known better, but Relican is part rocket, which is why it managed to take out Pelipper, one of her flyers, but this isn't getting Misty too worried as she has a few more Pokemon. She is thinking of Tentacle, but she isn't too sure how much Tentacle is willing to listen to Misty, having no other choice but to send out Marshtomp, a good counter against Relican, as Marshtomp simply smacks its fin ready for the tremendous battle. As the battle begins, as Relican is simply much more slower, has to rely on Hunter being the faster of the two, using its sprinting instinct to hunt down Marshtomp, but unfortunately got attacked by Lantern, which one kinda forgot about entirely, as Lantern has taken the opportunity to strike with a powerful thunder, but luckily for one, the conditional rain seems to calm down, as thunder is no longer 100 accuracy and barely miss Hunter, to the point where Relica managed to obscure it with a powerful Aqua Tail, smacking its large tail against Lantern, doing some major damage, but luckily Marshall was there to back it up as Marshall just clamped down on Relican, holding tight on launching powerful mud bombs, which does super effective as one commands were hunted to chase down Marshall, as unfortunately as he lets his guard down as Lander dives in again and this time launching a powerful thunder while doing major damage and managed to finally knock out Hunter for Misty. But unfortunately, as Relican seems to be a very stubborn Pokemon, in fact, is not even is going to ignore Marsh entirely, as he quickly uses a sharp turn and launching a powerful head smash towards Lantern, as it does major damage and finally knocking out Lantern, which as Misty has no other choice but to recall Lantern, as Marshall has finally had enough and just lets go of Relican, and as both trainers realize two of their Pokemon are down, meaning this battle will no longer be 2-on-2 but a singles, leaving Misty to rely on Marshall, and luckily for Marshall with its ground type being to able to do some major damage to Relican, and even though its defenses are quite high, doing damage to Marshall in return with powerful head smash, but unfortunately Marshall being a ground type being able to resist it and managed to put it down by using a powerful rock smash to put it down, leaving one with 3 Pokemon down while Misty only gets 2 of her Pokemon out, leaving Misty to have the advantage. As one was sent out his own water ground type Pokemon by sending out Wishcat, and the clear difference between them as Wishcat is much more larger than Marshall, and wanting to prove itself as Marshall is sent first by with a powerful water burst towards Wishcat's bump to Misty's surprise. Wishcat is seemingly much more tanky, allowing to shrug off the attack and using a move immediately to increase its height special defense, leaving Misty with a back foot as Marshall desperately tries to get Wishcat down, but unfortunately most of its move is simply unaffected by Wishcat's stick defense, as Wishcat is pretty much sent Marshall through a bunch of rocks with a powerful muddy water carving the battlefield with mud, as Marshall couldn't overcome it as it seemingly has been already tied by Relic and simply knocked out, as Misty has no choice to recall it, having no other choice but to send back Lunacolo, and unfortunately for one, as Lunacolo being a part grass type has greatly benefited in the battlefield by using a powerful Giga Drain to Wishcat's being quite weak to grass type, as Lunacolo managed to pretty easily put it down, but unfortunately this does leave Lunacolo to be quite tired because it just pretty much battle 3 opponents and is quite now feeling the effects of it. But one isn't too worried as he recalls back his mighty Wishcat and sending out Whelmer to battle, and Misty is taken back how big this large Pokemon is, as Misty found out in her Pokédex that this is a first stage, and Misty is quite taken aback and kinda is glad that he's not facing its full evolution, as Whelmer is proving itself to be a very dangerous Pokemon by using its weight to its full advantage against Ludicolo. And unfortunately, at once Misty thought he could rely on Giga Drain, but unfortunately Ludicolo isn't too worried about health, but is more its endurance is beginning the real battle, as Whelmer uses a very bizarre move on it, as one commences bounce as this large fish Pokemon jumps in the air to everyone's surprise, except for one, as he managed to get his powerful where Pokemon with a powerful slam towards Lunacolo, being a super effective damage which knocks out Lunacolo, leaving Misty with perhaps to two more Pokemon left and not wanting to send out Tentacle because she's still not feeling too confident, but decided to send out Celio to battle, as this battle has become an endurance, as even though Wilma seems to have a huge defense, but Celio seems to have more of the power on its side by using powerful subs and power for beam. Ice Beam to do some damage, and it's beginning to work. Unfortunately, as one to simply cause for way more to use rest as it's beginning to doze off in the battlefield, as Misty desperately tries to use any moves that Sailor could do against this behemoth of a Pokemon, but once it fully wakes up with a full health gauge, as one calls out for it to use its most strongest move with a water sport, doing major damage to Silo, to the point where Misty has no other choice but to quickly recall back Silo back, and having no other choice as sending out Tentacle and to see if how much Tentacle is willing to listen to Misty, as Wilma commands for a powerful bounce, and Misty desperately trying to get Tentacle to counter with a poison jab, as Tentacle just really rolls his eyes and reluctantly uses a powerful poison jab, managed to strike Wilma to the point where it's beginning to poison, and one tried to use the rest, but unfortunately the poison is simply too much for the well Pokemon, as Tentacle has a free lane with a powerful liquidation doing massive damage that unfortunately that wasn't a Mrs. Call, as Tentacle is simply doing on its own, but luckily it managed to put out Wilma, leaving one to his final Pokemon, and perhaps his most toughest one, sending out the most beautiful Pokemon, Melodic, to battle. And once Tentacle's eyes meets this very powerful water Pokemon. Looking at Melodic, as this begins to get Tentacle a bit excited, seeing an actual strong opponent to its level, as Misty did call off for a powerful liquidation as well, and once again as Tentacle is reluctantly use liquidation, but unfortunately the serpent managed to whip around to the point where it gets way too close for Tentacle surprisingly and launching a very powerful dragon tail by smacking it very hard, getting Tentacle very mad to the point where it no longer listens to Misty, and in its own selfish reason, as it desperately tries to pretty much defeat its Melon to prove its dominance, but unfortunately Melody, being under command of a water master and one taking advantage on Tentacle not wanting to listen to strength, is using its advantage to the point where Tentacle just uses a powerful poison tap, as Melodic just uses Miracle not only to take it but to fake the damage back to Tentacle, leaving Tentacle to be knocked out, leaving Misty with just one more Pokemon and sending out Celio, as Celio is beginning to fight Melodic, as Celio having the memories that it previously had with another Melodic, but this time this Melodic doesn't seem to be as strong, but it's also not holding back, as Celio is being in the back foot and feeling very reluctant to continue on because it had a rough battle with Melmo and it's not doing well against the Melodic that is basically fully healthy. But once Sailor looks upon Misty and she is not giving up, and even though Celia hasn't won Misty a lot of wins in his battle, but realizing that Misty is not going to give up on him, and why should he give up on Misty, as it begins to roar violently and finally evolving into its final evolution. evolving into Warray, and Misty is taken aback in amazement, and Misty seems to notice our Warren seems to change slightly as it's setting down a melodic environment to finally take it on, and once the battle really picks up as the two water Pokemon begin to clash, showing off melodic with her speed while Warren has to rely on counter with its defense, and luckily as Melodic's Ice Beam has no effect on water, its pretty much is non-existent, having its thick body and being part water and ice type, as Warlane is getting more comfortable and reaching closer to Melodic, and one is worried that that's what exactly what this Pokemon wants, and Misty could sense exactly what Warren is up to, and once Melodic as miscounted, landing a powerful dragon, thinking it might finally get it to back up. Unfortunately for her, as Warren just clambered down his dragon, then ignoring the pain and slamming his thick skull into Melodic, and with the position that she's in, launch as more Wale launches a powerful earthquake, doing major damage to Melodic, and with that enough to finally take down the Melodic down, giving Misty to be the winner, leaving her to be quite stunned and quickly cheered on that she had finally beaten a water gym leader as Misty ran to Wally, planting a huge hug as she thanks Wally for everything that she had done for her. And that's